Welcome everyone to Wedding Talk. My name is Peter.
And my name is Nina.
And today we're going to be discussing speeches and toasts.
That's right.
Wow, what a great topic, and something that a lot of people prepare for, and sometimes some people don't prepare enough.
That's true. Let's talk about that first. Let's talk about what should people really talk about when they're giving a speech to the bride and groom.
Well, I think something that's coming from the heart is always the best. And something, if it's funny, I think it's great. But when it's a roast, that's a hit or miss. Honestly, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's funny to some people, and other times other people are not really laughing about it.
Or you can give one jab, like one little jab, and then like keep on moving on. But when it becomes like boom, 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 then it's like, oh, then it gets to be a little much. But we have seen some creative ones. Actually, we saw they did like David Letterman's top 10 list, which was really interesting because then we did drum roll, then they would do choom, and then throw the card. It was really cute. And actually a best man, one of my favorite speeches we've ever seen was a best man speech. And he gave the couple gifts as he was doing the speech.
Right.
And he said, oh, you're going to need to drink a lot of wine to keep this lady happy. So he gave them tickets to like wine country. Like it was a really creative idea.
And you know what? It came from the heart, and it was nice, and it was pleasant, and it was upbeat, and it was still funny.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I think that if you're going to be thinking about topics to talk about, don't try to be funny. Don't think, well, I got to entertain people. You don't have to entertain people. What you really want to do is focus in on the bride and groom. And listen, if you get a little nervous, point your shoulders directly at them, because that will magically make everybody else disappear, and it'll just be you both looking at each other when you're speaking during the speech.
That's right. And let's talk about length of a speech.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. So what ends up happening a lot of the times is nobody really talks about how long a best man or maid of honor should
I'll tell you how long it should be. Look, cut it down.
Cut it down. 2 to 5 minutes is like perfect. And although people think, well, that's not a long time, when you're standing up in front of 300 people, that's a long time. That's a long time for them to wait for their next course to be served.
And people don't realize that every additional 5 minutes you're talking is costing someone a whole bundle of money. So,
they're paying by the hour for the venue or whatever it may be.
But if you're the parents of the bride and groom, if you're a sibling, take as much time as you want.
Or you're the bride and groom yourself.
Yeah, or if you're the bride and groom, take as much time as you want. But, maid of honor, best man, a friend or whatever, your uncle, your aunt. I mean, be respectful of everyone's time. People got to eat. We only have a limited amount of time for the reception. 2 to 5 minutes is the best, and the maximum amount of time, 5 minutes, that you should be looking at for your speech or toast.
Absolutely. And speaking of people hearing a great speech, let's talk about people actually hearing it, which is, a lot of times people say, well, there were these great speeches. I wish I could have heard them. Like, as in, like, I really couldn't hear them. Most of the time, people look at like the band or DJ and they go, what's wrong with the microphone? And it's actually because people aren't holding the microphone close to their mouth. So it's very hard to mix somebody when they're going like this because they don't like the sound of their voice. They get nervous, they hear their voice, and then they go, oh, so I'm going to pull back. When really they need to do just the opposite. What should they do? Well,
I think that, 3 inches away from your mouth is good, maybe 4. But if you're holding it at chest height, it's really going to be challenging for people to be able to hear you.
Right.
So be mindful of that. Secondly, speak up. Everybody wants to hear you speak. Typically, people are silent, and they want to know what you're talking about, and they want to hear that heartfelt speech. So try to hold the microphone as close as you can to your mouth, and speak up.
And the best place to stand, a lot of people, they get the microphone, and sometimes they'll start walking around, which is okay, but if you start walking in front of the speaker that your voice is coming through, it may feed back, which is that big screech you hear when you hear a microphone screech, and you don't want that. So a lot of the times in the center of the dance floor is a really good spot. Sometimes the bride and groom table is right there. You could stand right next to them. That's a good spot too. But when you start roaming around the room, sometimes that can be difficult for somebody to mix you through the speakers. As soon as you go towards a speaker, they're going to have to turn that microphone down. So that's something people don't know. And if you do hear a little screech, don't put your hand over the mic, because that actually makes it worse. It makes it go louder. And it's not to make anybody nervous. It's just funny because people aren't professional speakers, so they don't know what to do. So we're just trying to do our best to give out that information so you guys have a little more insight to it.
And lastly, don't do a mic drop. It's somebody else's mic, and they might need that for something else.
Oh my goodness.
So please be mindful of some of these things, and just keep a notice of what you're doing. So let's recap a little bit. Okay. What to talk about. Some of the things that you want to be able to talk about is keep it light, keep it heartfelt, speak about the good things. And if you're going to be funny, make it light funny, make it fun funny, and try not to roast a bride and groom, because sometimes that can maybe not go your way. And they've invited you to speak in front of all their family and friends, and it is an honor. So be kind.
And we also talked about length. We talked about keeping it 2 to 5 minutes, nice and tight, not too short, not too long, just enough to get that message across without feeling like you're taking up 15 to 20 minutes of their time. And also we talked about holding the mic, placement of the mic, holding it right as close to your mouth as possible so everybody can hear these wonderful words that you prepared for the bride and groom.
And if you're nervous, point your shoulders directly to the couple and speak to them. Because if you do that and you focus your body in on them, it will magically erase everybody else from the room, and it'll take that nervousness away. And in the end, you want to make sure that your speech is heartfelt and you're speaking to the bride and groom. What do you think? I think those are great tips.
That's it. I hope it helped you guys, and good luck with your speech.
Yeah, that's it for Wedding Talk with Pete and Nina. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.